Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to each of you as we gathered today for a thought-provoking discussion on the role of artificial intelligence in education, opportunities, and considerations. I'm Shalja Raghavendra, a University Guidance Counselor at Conscripts Colon, serving as your moderator, facilitating what promises to be an insightful exploration into the intersection of AI and education. So we are privileged to be joined by a panel of distinguished experts, each being a wealth of experience and insights to our discussion. So we have Ms. Anhat, Wellbeing Counselors at Pathways World School, Gurgaon. We have Ms. Charushila, Founder, Director, University Connections. And we have Ms. Anupama, Principal, Navy Children's School, Goa. Their diverse expertise will undoubtedly provide us with a well-rounded perspective on the subject at hand. Today's conversation revolves around transformative opportunities that AI presents for learning and teaching. From personalized educational experience to streamlined administrative tasks, AI is reshaping our approach to education. However, this transformation is not without its ethical considerations. Issues such as data privacy, equity, and the potential impact on traditional teaching methods are at the forefront. As we discuss this topic with our panelists, please join in actively and share your thoughts. As we begin, I would like to hear Anupama's thoughts on the key opportunities that AI brings to the field of education.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Shailaja, as I open the discussion. Being the head of an institution which almost has 1,500 plus children, any educational system is divided into so many roles and responsibilities of governing and taking that institution forward, whether it is handling the admin processes or interactions and dealings with our stakeholders. The crux of any educational institution is structured assessments, pedagogies, curriculums, another aspect of it, HR being another aspect, feedback being another aspect. So never again have we been bombarded with data as ever before. All these points are data points. And we are gathering so much data on a daily basis, feeding it into our computer systems. So this is where AI comes to the rescue of any school system. Never before any school system has had to hear algorithms and simulations and data entry with so much frequency as in now. And now is the time wherein with data points, with data entry, data management, finally analytics, that we can actually utilize and cash in on the AI wave, ride it, rather, getting drowned by it. So whether it is enrollment, like I said, I initially outlined very broad areas. If I go into specifics, starting right from admissions and student counseling or student enrollment and admissions, to resource management and allocation, right? To our stakeholder services, like I already mentioned, data, enhancing teacher efficiency, right? That too can be so well enhanced and navigated with AI. Tracking student progress, maintaining student data, personalizing their learning. All this can be managed very beautifully with AI. Of course, AI is simulations. So whatever you are feeding in, it has to simplify that for you. So here, in very broad layman terms, as I look at it, AI can come to the rescue of any school system.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anupama, for your insights on the different areas which AI can be utilized, and it can provide an opportunity for us to work efficiently. So moving on, I'd like to direct the discussion towards the practical aspects. So Charushila, would you like to share your thoughts on leveraging AI for personalized student learning? So what advantages does this approach offer?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shelja. I think Anupama has already added, the whole dimension of how AI can work within the education space, especially within a school. I'm of the strong belief that, equality and equity are two very different things. While equality focuses on opportunity, we have equity that actually focuses on the results of those opportunities. And we all know that, we have all kinds of learners that we deal with. And these learners, of course, some come from highly privileged backgrounds. Some of them do not have as much privilege. And this is not just in terms of financial privilege. It's just sometimes gender also creates those barriers for them in terms of learning and development. I think that's where I see AI as a great equalizer, and something it's frankly today, it's more than a technological advancement. It's more of a tool that has been handed over to us. And if it is utilized in the right sense, then certainly it will have those excellent benefits that we can reap out of it. So, ma'am mentions, for example, personalized learning for every student. At the end of the day, the national education policy is also today highlighting this whole understanding of, the fact that students are not born as STEM students or non-STEM students. They're born with this interdisciplinary flavor. And we as individuals and as adults also need that. So first and foremost, I think AI can be very easily used in frameworks that schools can develop. I know that now schools are running also as chains of schools. So every school can frankly develop their own pedagogical framework that can actually learn on its own and therefore guide students. I was reading this very interesting WhatsApp the other day, and this counselor shared, no, this subject teacher, she shared that, in her, as she was teaching, one of the students was creating a Google document. He ended up sharing that Google Doc with the entire class. So every student who had a doubt with any lesson that she was teaching was creating a little comment on that Google Doc. And the other kids were answering those comments. By the end of the semester, that Google Doc became like the entire curriculum. And when the exam time came, all the kids just had a ready reckoner to go to and actually learn from there. Same is the case with AI. So it's not happening at a Google Doc level, but it's happening at an entire software or technology level where you can create this entire platform and hand it over to your students and say, okay, classrooms are going to be more Oxford-like classrooms where, we sit down and we do these longish discussions, but you need to go back and read up stuff on your own. I'm not sitting there to spoon feed you all of that. And I think children will also mature in those roles. I also see, as a counselor, for example, it is increasingly important for us to, stay in touch with whatever is happening in the outside world. Universities are transforming, scholarships are being added, new courses are being added. Recently, I've had students who want to do human-centered interaction as a program, or data science, or any other. So how we as counselors need to leverage this technology to read up a little more and maybe create our own little folder that works on our AI, essentially. I have so much more to share, of course, on this, but maybe as the discussion proceeds, we will keep adding to it.
Absolutely. Thank you for those insights. And we will definitely come back to you on that equity and equality point. So we have more to discuss on those lines. So before we go there, I think right now we all agree that AI opened up exciting opportunities, right? It's like a game changer, tailoring learning just for you. Imagine each student on their own unique path to excellence, right? So as we welcome all the cool things AI brings to education, we got to be smart about it. So you all agree with me, right? So understanding the ethics is like having a guide to make sure we are doing things in a way that's good to everyone. So Anupama, I'm interested in your perspective. So what do you see as the main ethical considerations that need attention when integrating AI into educational settings?
The most important thing is plagiarism. that is something that we somehow don't inbuilt into our teaching system or in our value system. It is so easy for our children and young students to lift off something without giving due credit to the actual creator. And it starts very young. Very young. Why? Because, there are those projects to be done. There are those little handouts to be made. There is a journal to be made, or even a simple thing like a poster to be made, or a chart to be made, or an artwork to be made. Because thanks to all the education boards that our country has currently, the curriculum is beautifully being integrated, implemented, and revamped at the same time, thanks to NEP. So there are plethora of opportunities that the children have, whether it is in art integration, whether it is in STEM. And the need to do projects or the need to showcase interdisciplinary work or project-based learning, the opportunities are too many. And hence, the need to have access to ready content, which AI is taking care of, definitely to an extent. But even before that, the inbuilt value system of blatantly plagiarizing. That's one very big, or, when you're presenting your work without giving due credit to the actual creator. And the second thing, which is very important, our generation has stopped thinking on their own. Can they hold a conversation on their own without having to Google it, or using Bard, or using ChatGPT? In fact, the other day, I think we were having a discussion that most colleges have this now little icon at the below which says, have you used any of the following, to enhance or augment your college essay? So these are two areas which our children need to learn. In a discussion, when you open a discussion, there is pin drop silence in the class for some time because we are thinking. We've forgotten to think, to critically think before we are able to contribute to an argument or a discussion. Then the whole idea becomes, because there's no Google there. ChatGPT is supposed to be our new Wikipedia. So this is something. And the third thing, of course, they've forgotten how to read and write, because somebody else is doing their reading and writing. These are the three, I think, immediately on ground classroom scenario. That is what I'm sharing with you, avidly seen. These days, I'm signing journals for class 12, which are supposed to be submitted to the class 12 board examination practicals. And they very frankly tell us, and we've created that. We say that, where have you taken help from, or how has this been created? Pat comes the answer, yes, ma'am, there have been help taken, partly from the teacher and partly from a search engine. So yes, reading, writing, critical thinking skills, and of course, plagiarism is some of my immediate concerns that we need to look into. Privacy, data privacy as well. Yeah, that's there.
Thank you, Anupama. I think Ms. Anupama has touched upon the very important points. Like, I think in the educational sector, we all are aware about the plagiarism and the data privacy. Now, shifting our focus to the practical implementation, I would like to ask Anhat. So, I would like to hear your thoughts on how schools can ensure data privacy and security while utilizing AI-based tools and platforms.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that question. And Anupama, ma'am, thank you for bringing up that part that, yes, data privacy is something that we're looking at. So before I start with that, I'd like to also mention that over the past 2 decades, we've come a long way with artificial intelligence and deep learning in education system of teaching and learning, from STEM to STEAM to STREAM. This is how the industry has grown and revolutionized the entire future of education. Today, we are using tools like intelligent tutoring system, personalized learning system, as Charushila ma'am also mentioned. We're looking at student performances, where we are using evaluation tools, assessment tools to analyze all of that. We're looking at systems like dropouts, retention, student monitoring. All of this is an integration of the AI with our school. Now, this integration of AI with your school also happens on the data that is being collected and processed, which then leads to the question of privacy and security concerns. Now, to start off with that, it is important that you have a comprehensive policy in place. So you might have an AI policy or an IT policy in your school. So that is important to balance the utility and the privacy of these challenging unique sets, right? So the one key aspect of or the challenge that we face is the data collection. Data is the fuel to power AI systems. You feed in data, you get the information. For example, you look at certain movies on Netflix, and after a week, an algorithm is created to give you pop-ups as to what have you been watching. We have been using AI for a very long time without actually realizing that we have been using it. We have Google Maps, to be very we use it like as if it's like a water that we are drinking, right? To analyze. So what kind of information are we feeding in? The schools need to understand that AI gets better because it learns, adapts, and provides personalized experience as to what kind of information we are sharing. So it is important to categorize that what kind of information you want to collect, you want to hide, and you want to make it editable or accessible. Along with that, the next aspect is that how you are storing it and transmitting it. So end-to-end encryptions are already in place. So have your data, put this in place that your data has end-to-end encryptions. It is transmitted on that way. And plus, make it more authorized. Authorized personals should be given the access to certain type of data. There are data that are accessible to teachers as well. There are data that are accessible to students as well. But what is the data that we need to hold back? Because these are sensitive kinds of data that we are looking at. Once that is done, we also need to be transparent with our stakeholders as to what kind of data we are collecting and for what purposes we are collecting, and have their consent on it. Give them the choice that, okay, you want to give that this data can be used or cannot be used. Like a lot of schools put that down in their admission forms that, your child's photograph is going to be used for certain reasons, or we are going to be putting that up on Instagram or our other different portals that we are using. So have that consent with them. At the end, also, it is important this will not work unless awareness and training is given. Awareness will only come when there is training. So training needs to be there. So in your policies also, you need to put in place that, these are the trainings that we have done. This is the training that we are looking forward to. Not just for our teachers, not just for them, but for our students as well as for parents. We can put parental controls on all of these things, but at the same time, there is going to be some place that's going to break down. So that is my last point, coming to that data security breach is going to happen. Somewhere or the other, you need to be planned. You need to have a plan in place. There has to be a plan B. And that plan B is going to talk about what caused that breach. What are you going to do to contain that damage that has happened? And what are the steps that you're going to take to prevent that breach from happening? In other ways, in addition to all of that, you can always keep taking regular data backups, but it is important to have all of this in place to make sure that your data is secure and nothing is compromised on the basis of a child or your staff working in school. So please, I think these are very simple ways. Awareness is the key of it, and training is going to support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Anupama. I think that's very, very rightly said that awareness. Yes, awareness is the key. And yes, Anhat, as she mentioned, like being transparent with all stakeholders and having AI or IT policy in place should come to our rescue. Now, shifting gears from data privacy to AI supporting features, right? So we are talking about the artificial intelligence and the opportunities in the educational system. So my question to Anhat again, so how do you think AI changes what teachers do? And how can it be helpful friend in the world of education?
Okay, thank you once again for the question. We need to be, first of all, thanks to AI for rapidly increasing the face of education today. And we are using this technology for testing, implementation, just for basic student guidance also. And it is shaping the world, and for tomorrow. For tomorrow, it is actually helping us enhance. So it's inevitable that not only the way we are teaching, but also what we are teaching, that will change the continued development of our child. And because when we are feeding this kind of information, the AI is also helping us get advanced. It's also helping us become better in our education system. So it is what the future companies will look in, is that the high level skills of critical thinking, the creativity, and the communication. Nonetheless, teachers bring something very unique, and that is the human aspect to the classroom. They are the ones who inspire us, mentor us, they guide us, they counsel us when we need it. They are there to change, they're constantly changing with the atmosphere of the classroom. They're constantly, building building students who need our attention at any given point of time. They are not just character builders or role models, they are also value instillers. So let's be rest assured that we are not going anywhere. We are here to stay, but we need to also adapt to how the AI is working for us. So to come to the question, is that recently I attended a seminar on AI in education only. And the speaker pointed out 3 points, which I think resonated with me very well. One is, it is enhancing productivity, it is enhancing learning, and it is enhancing creativity. Now, it is transforming your classroom time to more personalized learning approaches. It is also helping you get insight into the learner and the learning aspect. It is not just telling you that this is what the curriculum look like and what is this is the lesson plan, but you can also generate idea as to how well can you improvise your own lesson plans and curriculums. So it is helping you think on those lines as well. Along with that, it is also bringing inclusivity. So when you add to that aspect of inclusivity in your lesson plans, it will help you understand that these are the few aspects that you can look after and create these things. I think Anupama ma'am would like to add here. And over to you, Anupama ma'am.
I'll just add a very little, beautifully explained by Anahat also, that how it is adding, augmenting, definitely. At the same time, like we discussed earlier, it's a tool and should be used to augment, not completely relying on it, like Anahat said, because the human factor and the teacher factor is definitely always going to be there, and we are not redundant. We are not going anywhere. So, but yes, there are certain tools, like, for example, I was reading up how Bard is with as the next Google, trump card. Or for that matter, I've seen our teachers use Dectoplus, or they've used Quillbot, or they probably use Elicit. These are all, or quizzes. These are all tools which are enhancing. What a teacher generally faces, Charushila ma'am brought out that there are these group schools, So what happens in group schools is you have the support of a central body creating content for you, which is supported by textbooks and a school management learning software. Sometimes accessibility to smaller schools in sometimes smaller states is very difficult. But yes, these days, an internet connection and a PC is accessible. If you cash in on that, for individual schools to also grow and professional development for most teachers, these tools can definitely be your master content creators. That is the basic help that a teacher needs, even writing a lesson plan and keeping it digitized and sharing it and improvising it. So content creation is something that the various AI tools can help you. And of course, a learning management system or a school management software. Our life is so much more easier when you have the entire school on a software. Of course, like beautifully brought out by Anahat, with privacy checks in places. But the school will crash if you do not have your ERPs and your NTABs in place. Without that, it is very difficult. So that's one big trump card with the teacher, and various tools that a teacher can use to help her enhance it. Imagine trying to feed a content somewhere and a music is added and a doodle is added and a cartoon is added. Just imagine, voila, you have such a beautiful piece which you can share with your children. So it makes a difference. Or an A dancing away and there is a song which is created, there's drama introduced, and there is a project that could be discussed, and suddenly you have theater in the classroom. Augmented reality, virtual reality, these are all tools that are here to stay, and they are extensively used by most teachers now to so content creation is something where we can use it very extensive.
Thank you for that beautiful point. So Charusheila, would you like to share your insights on this?
I think I got actually carried away by Anupama, whatever she was saying, because it was all very relevant. But I also find that apart from major content creation, where the onus of creation also comes to the teacher, and the onus of creation then let's say comes to a headquarter where all this content is being done. Beyond that, also there are, I believe, certain tools today that can help in the entire grading system also. In fact, an automated grading system will also assist a teacher, in a big way, because correcting those 50 to 100 test papers is also a challenge at the end of the day. Also, I believe nowadays, AI can also be used to create lesson plans, which are wonderful. So you don't necessarily have to create that entire content piece. And I believe the other thing that I sometimes find it a miss, some schools are obviously focusing on it, but teachers going through a bit of technology training, like during the pandemic, it had obviously, we were not given a choice. Everybody had to teach online. So suddenly you could see these Google classrooms emerging and Microsoft Teams happening, and training actually moved from level 0 as far as technology is concerned to suddenly a 10 point, they're 10 on 10. So of course it created a lot of stress also. Those were other things, but now we are all used to it. Now we know everybody moves around with a phone in their hand. And so therefore, I think technology training should perhaps be integrated with every other kind of training that teachers are going through. Because whatever said and done, there is a bit of a fear that teachers and counselors and everybody is going through, where they want to not become redundant, and they want to be able to keep on adding that value. And how many times will you keep telling your students to not get involved in tell them about this data security, data privacy, deep fakes, and so many other violations that are coming to the fore? Because they will tell you another creative use of AI. They'll be like, ma'am, I created this prompt and look at the picture that emerged out of it. And so why are you saying AI is not useful? I can use it for so many other things. Moreover, I think one of the major perils of AI, I would say, is somewhere the absence of empathy that is beginning to happen, in terms of you becoming so distant with your project. Every project is now can be fed into a system and the entire project can be generated. So where is your involvement as such? And that is something that also needs to be addressed. And the only way, at least, I don't know, maybe this group can come up with better solutions, but I feel social impact projects, which are on ground social impact projects, need to become a mandate, not just with an IB curriculum where CAS is important, so you do some community action service, but everywhere I think students should be they should be on the ground working on certain social impact projects, because otherwise AI is going to totally take over our brains, our lives, our entire being, so to say. And in fact, I would also like to highlight that, when it comes to the counseling and college planning world, universities are also now beginning to, there are some universities that are having conversations around college essays. And in times to come, you will see many universities asking for video essays. And these, but you would be surprised also to know that AI, today there are tools available and students will come up with those tools, where if I give a snapshot of my video and ask AI to create the rest of the video, it can create it. So, and you would not be able to make out whether it's, it will just be me talking at the end of the day. And students will tell you, ma'am, this is easily possible. So, so to counter that, a lot of live interviews have now become important as part of university applications. Obviously, it increases everybody's work, but at the very foundation of this whole discussion is also this whole discussion on ethical and moral consideration, which is where we need to, I think, train our students better. And we need to continue to keep on touching their natural intelligence so that artificial intelligence does not take over the natural intelligence.
Thank you. Very beautifully concluded point. So adding on to what all of you has mentioned, I think me having a background of working with special needs, with AI, what we could do is cater to all kind of a learners. So in a more effective and personalized manner. So that's what I have seen and how it is going to work. So that is just one point I would like to add, along with the reports, analysis, or admissions and other administrative tasks, which we take the support from AI. And another point very beautifully put across by all of you is like, yeah, it is not the AI which is making us redundant. It is probably, I think, if we are able to learn and adopt, so then we evolve. If we don't, I think then we ourselves limit our opportunities to grow, and that could lead to being redundant. So moving on from there, I think it's a very, very interesting discussion. So when it's getting more interesting, let's talk about something more crucial. So earlier I mentioned equality, right? So my discussion is going towards the same point now. How can we make sure everyone gets a fair shot at using cool AI tools for learning, so we don't leave anyone behind in the digital race? So Charshila, would you like to shed some light on this? We'll take it up from where you left.
Yeah, surely. I mean, it's, I don't know if you remember, there was this small experiment that, I think it was NIIT that had done this experiment, where they had placed a kiosk, which was a computer kiosk in a village. And they had just placed it in one corner. And little children who were playing around that area, they used to just come and click something and something would emerge, and they could use paintbrush at that time and, come up with little triangle images, house bana liya, kuch aur bana liya. And NIIT thereafter, I think, submitted a report that technology, if it is made adequately available to many students like this, students will figure out a way of how to use it. It doesn't even have to be teacher directed in so many ways. So frankly, I think the onus is now on policymakers, educators, and this entire body of, I would say, organizations, which could be edtech organizations or independent consultants, and of course, schools as institutions and universities and school counselors. I think we all need to come together and create our own, formula, basically, on how this piece should be presented. Because see, wherever technology is already available, especially in the privileged schools where our children study, these kids are anyways figuring out the use of it. But everywhere else where we can actually present it in a certain format, because those are the masses, that's where very strong policy frameworks have to be put in place, very strong lectures have to be also put in place that this is how you please use it. This is how you create prompts. These are the basic ways in which you should use it. And maybe we should not even tell them how you should not use it, because then they'll end up using that. So, so I think the digital divide is getting bridged as we speak. We know that even when you have to call out to any of your house help or whoever, you call them on their mobile phone. So it's not like they don't have access or their children don't have access. This Diwali, if I don't know if you experienced it, but every house, person who works for you in the house also, if you ask them what do you want as a Diwali gift, they want a phone. वो जो स्मार्ट वाला फोन है ना दीदी, वो चाहिए. क्यों चाहिए? क्योंकि मेरी बेटी कॉलेज स्कूल जाती है, तो उसको कभी कभी स्कूल में छुट्टी हो जाती है, तो टीचर बोलती है फोन होना चाहिए क्लास लेने के लिए, राइट? So what is happening here? The digital divide is getting bridged, and we need to therefore become ready with our lesson planning on how do we educate this group of students and people, because you and I both know that any silly prompt put on this AI tool can reveal very crazy results, and those crazy results at this young age can actually be scarring, absolutely. And so we don't want that to happen. Yeah. And so it's just I think in the process of creating an equitable universe of AI users, we all have this moral, ethical responsibility to put frameworks in place. I am happy to work with whoever in this space to just see to it that things are happening. And this is a good beginning. See, this whole conversation, I'm sure, is going to go out there, and we will perhaps put it together as a blog tomorrow and take it forward. I think that's the best way to do it.
In fact, adding to what Charushila just said, policymakers, when you talk about policymakers and the plethora of boards and educational boards that exist along with the ministry, of course, the heart and the mind is in the right place.
Yeah.
Excellent policies are coming up, and a lot of implementation issues are the only gray areas. By the time certain policies filter in, they sort of get diluted. So, and secondly, we spoke about professional development and teacher training. I think we really need to work there a lot. And actually now start skimming seriously as to the kind of talent that is coming into the teaching pool. We are not filtering that. We are not filtering it at every level unless the quality of our teachers, the quality of the implementation of all our policies till the grassroots level. Imagine a McKinsey has to work with a Jharkhand school to see that our policy has to be implemented. Why? So these are areas, and some of our children have come back and quit jobs at corporates and wanted to work with state governments. Why not? Why not does the younger team get involved with the policymakers of the state government and the central government and sort of get the whole professional development going at the same pace? And such beautiful schemes have come up, whether it's a Diksha, or whether it's a Nishtha, or at our own school levels, people are doing so much. I think our teacher profile has to be worked on. We have wonderful individuals who are there in this profession. They need to be strengthened. And once that happens, I think we'll have more passionate educators to be able to learn. See, because learning, all of us are still learning, which, during we are learning from each other, we are learning from our peers, from our seniors, juniors. In the same way, the teacher mentor is also, in evolving. I think if we have our professional development in the right place, and also make sure that the teacher is well equipped. Now, in fact, IT tools or ICT tools, it is not even asked. It is understood that you come prepared with these tools into the profession. It's no longer, it's like doing a teacher training as a requisite to entry. Nobody says. It's understood that, you know your IT tools well, and you are able to integrate technology into the classroom. It is now such a requisite. So I think if we work towards professional development, as well as creating the right mentors out there on the field. I think that will also make a lot of difference in elevating the whole implementation process for AI also.
True that, ma'am. And in fact, just to add to that point, I don't know if you experienced this, but during the pandemic, it was a very interesting time where school administrators and teachers were depending a lot on students to run the show.
Yeah.
Would you lead the assembly? Would you start the Zoom session? Would you create this presentation?
Yes.
And students were loving it.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, I will do it. And a lot
Yes.
of them felt very useful also, that I taught ma'am, how to use Zoom. I taught ma'am about whatever. So point is, even right now, how about we created student ambassadors who could drive this forward? Let's reverse the learning field. It doesn't have to come from the adult in the room. It can actually come from some of these kids, and they will be so creative about it, believe you me. So I hope someone's listening out there and they do something about it.
Yes, we talk about teacher-centric learning. So it could be, in a way, it is like student-led learning. Why not?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. I think, if we take the discussion along with the students and enhanced teacher training, definitely it can take the equity and equality to next level. So that is the key which one should look into it. So as we wrap up, I think we didn't even realize how we spend our time. So we need to take the questions from our audience as well. Audience, please feel free to raise your hand or put your questions in our Q&A box. So we'll definitely come back to you. And as we wrap up this insightful discussions, I would like each one of you to share one key point on the challenges you foresee in adopting AI in education and how we can overcome them. So, Anupama, let's start with you. Your thoughts on the challenges and solutions of integrating AI in education.
For me, equipping the teacher is strengthening the nation. So I feel teacher training, professional development has to get far more organized and reaching every corner of the country, taking everyone along. So I feel that we start investing in teacher training a lot more, strengthening the hands of the teacher so that she's prepared for challenges like we face today. A very dynamic ecosystem that the education system has become, which changes practically every day. The teacher should be well equipped to handle and cushion herself against those changes. So I feel PDs are the name of the day. Yes.
Absolutely. So Anhat, let's hear from you. One challenge and one solution.
I agree with Anupama ma'am here that yes, training is important. Along with that, I think we also need to understand that we cannot get away from AI. AI is not to be pushed away. That is the one challenge that I feel that people start feeling hesitant to use the AI because they might feel that, oh my God, either I'm not very good or it's here to take my job. It's not here to do that. It is definitely not here to do that. It is only here to help you as a supportive tool. So yes, training is very, very important. Along with that, yes, also acceptance is important. Accept that this is something that is going to stay and it is only going to evolve and become innovative in the upcoming future, right? Along with that, yes, data security again is something that we've spoken about, which is very important to take care of. How you're presenting the data, what you're presenting it, and how well do you want it to respond to you? In what way you want it to respond to you? So you need to be very, very specific as to what kind of data you are putting, and it needs to be sensitized. You need to be sensitized about the information, and that can only come, as Anupama said, ma'am said, that it can only come through training and awareness when it is put in place. So, thank you.
Thank you, Anhat. I think we see an raised hand in the audience. Would you like to ask your questions, or should we take it from the chat? Namrata, right? Yeah.
Saida, raised hand.
Shruti, can audience ask the questions live or we have to?
Ma'am, they're already asking. You can see the Q&A section, and here 3 questions are posted as of now. I have put in the chat that many questions can come up. So
Perfect.
meanwhile, these are to be answered. These you can answer.
Yeah, the first questions we have here, I think, the challenge I faced is I have the knowledge of AI, but not I require. So, anybody would like to take these questions?
Ma'am, both the questions, as I could quickly read, are related to equipping the teacher and training. One is like our participant said, that I do have the knowledge of AI, but I don't know where to use it. Absolutely, well taken. The moment a teacher is faced with a situation in a classroom or in the school setup, because the teacher is not only doing the teaching learning task, she's also a counselor, literally a counselor to say 30-35 children. She's also a mentor to probably the senior teachers. She's taking assessments. There are so many tasks that a teacher is doing. So if somebody could do a little bit of R&D with the teacher, most schools, if they could have a little bit of a training cell, like a training coordinator, just organize this whole PD or a professional development that goes on in a school, and actually sit and do a little bit of research and development that, okay, this will work, this will not, or this is an immediate requirement, which can be simplified. And literally, just like we go to a doctor for diagnosis, a little bit of a diagnostic step could be done here, that this is the challenge I face. How can I simplify my task? I think a teacher mentor, like we can have teacher mentors, that really works, wherein you have certain people whom you go to who understand where you're coming from and how to simplify that task. Training coordinators work very beautifully. And even having core peer teachers, peer learners at every level, that works. For example, an IT department is a very thriving department in any school. And they seem to be the go-to people for, I'm getting stuck here, how do I get out of it? How do I create this format? Or what do I do with this entire data? So there are many times that these departments can actually step forward and help out. So I think for teachers also, when we do a little bit of hand-holding, here, I think the head of the institution or the coordinators could actually sit down and organize this entire setup where, teachers feel that, okay, I can be guided. And it's not that I've got to wait for a professional development session to be asking my question. At the end of the day, I can walk up to person XYZ and I can actually put forth my query and my problem, and I know I'll be helped. So that comfort level in a school system should be there. And I'm sure our participants should not have a problem. I think you should take it back to the head of the institution and the management. I'm sure something will be done about it.
Thank you. I think Charushila, you would like to take the next question, since we are almost towards the end of the discussion. Needs proper and regular guidance for AI in our teaching community.
Yeah, I mean, I just wrote an answer to that, saying that definitely you should bring it up with your leadership. And so this is just a statement. I don't think it's a question. But more than that, I think we can, the point that you were initially making on, that one problem and then one solution. In my case, I would 100% want to touch upon the fact that in times to come, if we are going to constantly focus on AI and robots and people who are, it was like that Tin Man, if we are going to keep on focusing on that, we will lose sight of the fact that we are at the end of the day human. And therefore, our humanness has to be reinforced again and again, especially with this generation. There was a time when the first watch that you bought came to you when you got married, or it came to you when you first went to college. Very soon that started happening, that you started getting a watch anyways. There were those clown-shaped watches and everything. Imagine now, so now a watch is not a big deal. None of us even wear a watch. I think most of us wear.
Hello. Charushila, are you there with us?
Thriving and growing on this whole understanding of AI is something that I can reach out to. I don't even need to go to my parents for advice. I can ask AI for any kind of advice, whether it's mental health or whether it's college guidance, whether it's subject support, whether it is why did I have a breakup? Every question is being posed to an AI tool. So in that sense, we need to be very, very mindful of building human connections. We need to become very mindful of creating offline opportunities for students, for social impact, and ensuring that these kids don't just become technophiles, but they also become empaths. They become highly compassionate people who don't misuse technology later on. Yeah, we have umpteen number of examples of how technology can ruin things also, right? So let's, in the interest of safeguarding this human generation, I think the idea would be to please keep on doing offline events and offline activities with students, even as we focus on all of this.
Thank you. I think with that, we have come to the end of our panel discussion. So to address Saida here, so I think after this event, probably you can talk to or write to high school moms. So definitely we can look at something, whatever is possible in terms of AI training.
Also, I'll just add to what Saida just said quickly. The state governments, you need to just find out, they run a lot of programs. Programs, and they reach out specifically to private, unaided, as well as state affiliated schools, and they continue to have, just like you have the Samagra Shikshas doing a lot of work with skill education. In the same way, most state boards have some sort of a system in place, some a little more effective than the others, to be blunt about it. But yes, there are programs in place. If you can get in touch with the state board or the state government head office, wherever it is placed, they do run programs. They do run programs for enhancing and augmenting projects. Yes, Anat, yes.
I just wanted to add that even Microsoft, BenQ, there are these two who are proudly associated and proudly associated with schools, because Microsoft is something that we're constantly using on our laptops. So we have those licenses. So they are more than willing to come to your schools and help you out. So even BenQ, as a matter of fact, has come in and got in interactive classroom. So they will train you with that also. There are other places like Komodo that you can very easily find online. Komodo, the ARC HQ, I can put it up on the chat. They are also there to help you out with the AI, and ViewSonic as well. So these are few places where you can definitely pitch in, you can definitely write to them, and they will definitely get back to you. They're the ones who can support you with any type of AI trainings that you require for your.
In fact, BenQ and ViewSonic both are into interactive flat panels, and they have ready content to be accessed as well. So yes, they, like rightly put it out, they'll be more than happy to help. And Google certified training certificates are done free. Adobe and Google certified, they do it definitely.
Even with Microsoft, ma'am. So they have these free certifications for all Wonderful. The applications that you require.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So just to add, as simple as Facebook has this AI in education, these communities, so which you can follow and understand what programs or training coming up. So that is also a very simple way to connect with the community.
Also, I mean, as a college counselor, it's important to also add a tool for school counselors in case there are, you're looking at accessing and understanding what universities are, for example, accepting an AI-based essay and all of those things. So it's most of these universities are now posting things on international ACAC forums, as well as on counselors forums on Facebook, otherwise also. And you can go and visit these, for example, if you go to the University of California website, you will get the clear ruling on what is their how they are viewing essays or personal insight questions now, and what is going to be their policy in the coming year. Everybody is now posting policies for 2025 actually. So it's important to start following some, at least the better, the A grade universities, let's say, because the others will anyways follow suit.
think, all right. I think it's a time we conclude. So, as we conclude today's enlightening panel discussion, I extend my heartfelt thanks to our insightful panelists and engaging audience. Your participation has made this discussion truly enriching. As we leave with the broader understanding of the opportunities and challenges AI presents in education, I look forward to future engagements and continue to foster dialogue and innovation. Thank you and have a very good evening.